There was a time, not so long ago, when the sound of creation was silence. It was a quiet scratch of a pen on paper in a firelit study. It was a focused, rhythmic tap of a hammer in a craftsman's workshop. It was a deep, uninterrupted stillness of a mind wrestling with a single magnificent idea. In that silence, masterpieces were born, empires were built. The very fabric of our world was woven by men and women who had mastered the sacred, powerful, and now almost forgotten art of deep work. And what is the sound of our world today? It is not silence. It is a scream, a constant, deafening, and relentless digital scream. A symphony of notifications, of dings, of pings, of endless feeds and infinite alerts. We have traded the quiet solitude of the workshop for the chaotic, open-plan office of the entire world. We have traded the deep, focused well of our own mind for the shallow, polluted, and impossibly wide puddle of the global conversation. And we are drowning in it. This is a great, silent epidemic of our time. The fragmentation of the human soul. Your attention, your most precious, finite, and creative resource, is being systematically shattered into 1,000 tiny pieces, auctioned off the highest bidder in the great attention economy. You feel it, don't you? That constant, low-grade anxiety. That feeling of being busy all day, yet accomplishing nothing of value. That nagging sense that you are living a life of breadth, not of depth. You are a ship skimming across the surface of 1,000 shallow bays, never once dropping anchor to explore the treasure hidden in the deep. This is a world of shallow work. It is the work of answering the email the moment it arrives. It is the work of constantly checking the feed. It is the work of being a human router, mindlessly passing along bits of information. It is the work that makes you feel productive, but leaves you feeling empty. It is the work that can be automated, replicated, and will ultimately be forgotten. It is the work that is slowly, quietly making you obsolete. But there's another way. A path back to the silence. A path back to the depth. A path to rediscovering the lost art of deep work. Deep work is not a productivity hack. It is a philosophy. It is the assertion that the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task is the skill that will define value in our economy and meaning in our lives. It is the ability to shut out the world, to silence the noise, and to descend into the deep, quiet chambers of your own mind, where true creation, true innovation, and true insight are born. The shallow mind is a slave to the immediate. It reacts. The deep mind is a master of the intentional. It creates. The shallow mind is easily replaced. The deep mind is indispensable. Consider the great psychologist and thinker, Carl Jung. As his ideas became more complex, more profound, he found that the distractions of his city life were making it impossible for him to do the work he was born to do. He could not find the silence. So what did he do? He became an architect of his own focus. He traveled to a remote lake in Switzerland, and with his own hands, he began to build a simple stone tower, his Bollingen Tower. It had no electricity, no running water, no telephone. It was a fortress against a shallow world, a sanctuary for deep work. And it was in the profound, uninterrupted silence of that tower that he wrote the works that would change our understanding of the human soul forever. He did not find the silence. He built it. He understood that deep work does not happen by accident. It happens by design. You must become the architect of your own Bollingen Tower. You must, with deliberate and ruthless intention, design an environment in your life that protects your focus from the relentless invasion of the shallow. This is not a luxury. In the 21st century, it is a necessity for survival. This is a declaration of war against the culture of distraction. It is a courageous decision to go offline, to be unreachable, to be, for a few sacred hours each day, alone with your own thoughts. It is a choice to be the master of your own mind, not a slave to the notifications of others. It is the path to becoming an artist of focus in a world of distracted amateurs. You must become the architect of your own focus. But an architect does not build without a ritual, a system, a discipline. A fortress is not built by wishful thinking. It is built brick by brick with deliberate, consistent, and focused effort. To master the art of deep work, you must create a ritual. A ritual is a sacred ceremony that tells your brain, your body, and the universe itself that you are about to engage in work that matters. It is a declaration of intent. It is the bell that signals the beginning of the service in the cathedral of your mind. Your ritual should be precise. Where will you work? When will you work? How will you work? For how long? You must define the rules of your sanctuary. A specific location, free from all distraction. A specific time of day, when your mind is at its sharpest. A clear starting procedure, perhaps the brewing of a certain kind of coffee, the playing of a certain piece of music, the closing of an office door. These are not trivial details. They are the triggers that train your mind to transition instantly and automatically into a state of profound concentration. The undisciplined mind is a wild horse, galloping in 1,000 different directions. A ritual is the bridle. It is a gentle but firm hand that harnesses the wild, creative power of your mind and directs it towards a single, chosen point. And what is that point? What is the object of the sacred focus? It is the work that is essential. You must have the ruthless clarity to distinguish between the merely busy and the truly productive. The shallow worker lives in a state of frantic reactivity. Their day is a whirlwind of answering emails, attending meetings, and responding to the urgent but unimportant demands of others. They are a firefighter, constantly putting out small blazes, never once having the time to architect a fireproof building. Their inbox is their to-do list. They are a slave to the agenda of the world. The deep worker, the artist of focus, operates from a different philosophy. They understand that the vast majority of what we call work is a distraction from the real work. The real work is a 20% of your activity that will generate 80% of your results. The real work is the cognitively demanding, high-value creation that no one else can do but you. It is the writing of the book, the designing of the strategy, the creation of the masterpiece. And you must guard your best, most focused hours with the ferocity of a dragon guarding its treasure and dedicate them exclusively to this one essential task. This requires a level of commitment that the shallow world will not understand. Sometimes it requires a grand gesture, a declaration to yourself and to the world that this work is your absolute priority. Consider the story of J.K. Rowling as she was nearing the end of her legendary Harry Potter series. She was one of the most famous writers in the world. Her home life was a constant stream of interruptions. The dog was barking. The children were playing. The doorbell was ringing. The shallow world, with all its beautiful and necessary distractions, was making it impossible for her to enter the deep, magical world of her creation. So what did she do? She made a grand gesture. She quietly checked into a suite at a grand, historic hotel in the heart of the city. It was her modern-day Bollingen Tower. It was not an act of luxury. It was an act of strategic desperation. It was a declaration that finishing this work, this final chapter of a story that had captured the imagination of a generation, was the single most essential task in her life. And in the quiet, gilded silence of that hotel room, free from the invasions of the shallow world, she was able to finish her masterpiece. This is the mindset of the professional. They do not wait for the perfect conditions to do their deep work. They create them. They are willing to be misunderstood. They are willing to be unreachable. They are willing to make the hard choices, to pay the price, to do whatever it takes to create the space necessary for the birth of something great. They understand that the art of deep work is the art of strategic sacrifice. It is the art of saying no to the good so that you may say yes to the magnificent. And this is the great secret. The reward for this sacrifice is not just better work. It is a better life. The shallow life, for all its constant connection and stimulation, is a life of profound anxiety. It is a life lived on the surface, constantly reacting, constantly distracted, a mind never at rest. The deep life, the life of focused, intentional work, is a life of profound satisfaction. It is the joy of the master craftsman, completely absorbed in their work, the world forgotten. It is the feeling of using your mind to its fullest capacity, to create something of value, something of beauty, something that is uniquely yours. It is the peace that comes from knowing that you are not just passing the time, but that you are investing it in the creation of a legacy. The practice of deep work does not just change what you do, it changes who you are. It rewires your brain. It strengthens your ability to concentrate, to resist distraction, to find meaning and fulfillment in the act of creation itself. You lose your taste of shallow. The endless scroll becomes boring. The trivial notifications become an annoyance. You begin to crave the deep quiet and powerful state where your best self resides. This is the ultimate resilience in the modern age. Not the ability to multitask, but the ability to single task. Not the ability to process more information, but the ability to create more value. Not the ability to be always on, but the courage to be strategically off. And so, the journey to reclaim this lost art begins with a single, simple choice. The choice to believe that your attention is precious. The choice to believe that you are a creator, not just a consumer. The choice to believe that the greatest work of your life is waiting for you in the silence. What is the masterpiece that is trapped inside you, waiting for you to build a fortress for its creation? What is a profound idea, the revolutionary business, the life-changing book that is waiting for you to shut out the noise and finally give it the deep, focused attention it deserves? The world will continue its descent into the shallow. It will become louder, faster, and more distracting. And in that world, the few who cultivate the art of deep work will become the new masters, the new creators, the new leaders. They will be the ones who produce the work that matters, who live the lives that inspire, who find the meaning that the rest of the world is too distracted to even look for. The choice is yours. The silence is waiting. Stop being a slave to the shallow. Go deep.